Hi guys, if you know you have been finding it very difficult to fix in a yoke into your bustier, you want to keep on watching this video until the end because in this tutorial, I'm going to show you the easiest and the simplest way to do that. So guys, the first thing you have to do is to cut out your pattern, and then after that, go ahead and join the center front and the side fronts. Also pad it and do the same thing for the lining. Now, here is my yoke. The yoke is a round neckline, but the down part which I'm going to join into the bustier is a sweetheart neckline. So this is the front part. Now, what I'm going to do is to make sure I place the right side of this yoke facing the right side of my bustier. Then after that, I'm going to equally ensure that the middle of this yoke is matching up with the middle of my bustier, and I'm going to use my pin to hold it. Now I'm going to pin up the rest of it until I get to one end of this bustier. You can see what I am doing. Please do not pin the entire yoke into the neck of the bustier. You can see I just pinned one side, and then I'm going to start to stitch using half an inch. Now mind you that when I was cutting this yoke, I added this half an inch for stitching allowance, and I equally added it on the bustier when I was drafting it. Now once I am getting closer to the middle, I'm going to make sure that I got the right neckline that I needed, which is the sweetheart neckline. And you can see the way I tilted my hand. Now, before you tilt your hand, you have to ensure that the needle on this sewing machine is being stuck on this fabric. And then you're going to raise your footer and then tilt your hand and continue to sew. Can you see what I am doing? Now I'm going to continue sewing with this half an inch until I get to the other side. So you have to take it slowly, you don't have to rush it. Okay. Now once you get to the end of it, the next thing you're going to do is go ahead and notch. Okay. So I'm going to flip it over to the wrong side so that I will be able to see my lines which I've made, and then I would notch. Now I'm going to notch the middle parts, and then after notching, I'm going to notch the rest of it. Now guys, as you can see, I am done notching the allowance, and you can see how flat this is looking. Now I'm going to push it inward like this and then bring in the lining. It is time for us to turn this over with the lining, and this is where the main issue lies. Now I'm going to ensure that the middle of my lining is matching up with the middle of my actual fabric. And then I'm also going to ensure that the yoke is being sandwiched in between the lining and the actual fabric. And then I will go ahead and pin it all around. Now, if you notice, I'm pinning up all around the neckline. Unlike when I sewed in the yoke into the actual fabric, I pinned up just one side of it, okay? But this time around, you're going to have to use your pins to pin around it. Now, if you notice, I'm pinning up right at the tip because I need to sew using half an inch. Okay. Now, after that, I'm going to start sewing, and to sew this, I'm going to make use of my hemming tape. This hemming tape is going to help your lining stay flat after you are done ironing this. Okay. So you can see I'm sewing with my hemming tape, and the most important part of this is that I'm sewing on that same line. Okay, so that's why you can see that I'm not sewing right from the lining part. Okay, the lining is underneath and the back of the bustier is on top, so that I'll be able to see my lines, the lines that I created when I was joining in the yoke. Okay, that same line, I am going to follow it to join in my lining. And then you can also see that I'm using my hands to ensure that my yoke does not stuck into my stitches. All right, now I'm going to continue to follow this line until I get to the other end, and you can see how I'm trying to bring out the yoke so it doesn't stuck to my stitches. Now guys, I am done with this, and the next thing I'm going to do before I notch it is to turn it over to the good parts. Okay, now you can see I'm trying to remove the pins. After removing the pins, I'm going to turn it over to the good parts. Ensure that my yoke, which is the lace, does not stuck into any of my stitch. And then once I am okay with what I have right there, I'm going to turn it again to the wrong part and then start to notch. Now guys, once I am done notching, I'm going to open it up and then top stitch on the lining. Now, as I top stitch, I'm going to ensure that the right side of the lining is the part that I am looking at. Okay, please do not stop stitch looking at the wrong part so you can see exactly what you are doing. And you want to also make sure that you are pushing the seam allowance to the lining parts. Okay, so after doing this, I'm going to turn the side and then move over to the ironing table. Give this a good press. And you guys, this is exactly how to sew in your yoke properly well into your bustier. And after that, go ahead and turn the neckline.